differently. We watched WWE Payback September 2nd, 2023. A boring show. The opener was good, though. The opener was very good. Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus inside a steel cage. So they threw each other in the cage about 7,000 times in this match. And at the time, or at least early in the match, I was kind of laughing about how you could hit the steel cage this hard with no blood. And then by the end, when Trish had the giant hematoma on her forehead, and then Becky did a promo later in the show with her face all bruised up, they'd been better off just slicing each other up compared to the beating they actually took in this cage match here. So they worked very hard. They had a lot of time, put in a lot of time. Becky kept trying to win in the ring. Trish mostly wanted to escape, which is always a good little storytelling there when the heel wants to run away. They pointed out the first women's cage match in WWE history was Victoria versus Lita, and so we had tributes to those two with the Widow's Peak by Trish and the Twist of Fate by Becky. Trish gets a Stratus faction for 2, so she tries one off the top rope, but lands her ass, hurts her ass, can't make the cover in time. They climb up again. Trish was left hanging upside down. I don't know if Becky was. It was Trish. Trish was left draped upside down. Looked very uncomfortable with her legs stuck in the cage. Becky brings her back in with a top rope superplex, and the place is going nuts for all this. And then, God damn it, you can't have a WWE cage match without interference. Someone needs to actually go back and track this. I bet there's more interference in cage matches than in non-cage matches. So Zoe Stark runs out, and first she slams the door in Becky's face. That's fine. Then she's just in the ring doing spots. No one cares. I realize it's no DQ, but you can have somebody throw her out of the ring. You can do something. But it didn't matter. Becky fought off the interference from Zoe, beat up Trish, won with a manhandle slam. That was a very good opener.
All right, so I got a lot to say about this.
Yeah.
I thought this match was great. I thought this was a great cage match between these two. And when the match was over, my first thought was, this could have main evented this show. Because the other day we were trying to figure out on Observer Radio, what's going to be the main event of, actually of both shows this weekend, ironically.
Yeah.
What's the main event of All Out, and what's the main event of this show? And I thought, you could do the women as the main event of the show. It's a cage match, it's a big blow-off, everything like that. And I watched the match, and I thought, well, maybe it's Seth Rollins and Nakamura. Maybe that will be a fitting world title main event. We'll wait and see. Well, the show is over, and I can confidently say that Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch would have been an excellent main event of this pay-per-view. It was a babyface win. It was a happy ending. It was a great match. It was inside a steel cage. The only other match it could have headlined, actually, was the tag title match. But in that one, you had the heels win. And granted, they've done a lot with the Judgment Day. They're like the top act outside of the Bloodline. So I think really either of those matches could have headlined. But I think that this would have been... Because, they like to say that, we do all this with the women and everything like that. This would have been a great main event of the show. They worked their asses off. I didn't like the interference, but I would have liked it a lot less if Trish had won after the interference.
Yes.
Zoe getting involved and getting in the cage, and, the whole point of the cage was to fucking keep Zoe out. And then she's just in there. It's fucking dumb. But, the fact that Becky thwarted her, and then, she hit her with her move, and then she hit Trish with the move off the top rope and got the pin. I mean, she, beat the odds. So I was okay with it. I mean, it would have been, I don't know.
It would have been better without it.
We saw the thing with the Creeds, which was like the best possible way to have someone run into a cage. I mean, the guy that got into the cage was the guy that was supposed to be in the cage in the first place.
Yes.
So anyway, I didn't like that aspect of it, but I thought it was a great match. I thought Trish Stratus is like, I don't know if you guys, maybe nobody except me and Vinny and the rest of you that are like 48 understand.
Yeah.
But actually you probably wouldn't because, unlike me, you guys didn't wrestle over the last year. I did.
Yeah.
This shit is hard at this age.
Yes.
Okay? And she's not somebody that's been doing it nonstop. She also came back. She had been out of wrestling for a long time.
Yeah.
And she came back to wrestling at 48 years old and is fucking killing it.
Yeah.
She fits right in. She doesn't look like, somebody who's old or, whatever. I'm not talking physically, but like she doesn't move like she's old. She doesn't bump like she's old. Like, she is unbelievable. And Becky was great. And I just thought this was a really, really, really good match. Ended up being the second best match on the show. But it was an excellent opener and would have been a fitting main event.
And yes, full credit to Trish for doing what she's doing at her age. And don't gloss over the fact that she looks like she does at her age. That takes a ton of work.
Well, I mean, look at me, brother.
Yeah, I'm looking at you.
It can be done.
Yeah. So afterwards, Trish blames the loss on Zoe, screams at her to leave. Zoe instead slams the door shut to indicate no one can get in or out, which is high comedy because she's already in there. It's proving. Her very presence in the ring proves you can get in and out. Regardless, like, Trish goes to hit her, and Zoe lays her out with her move, which apparently is called the Z360 now, which is a pretty cool name. We got a bunch of video packages in the show. These are the video packages that you get on the premium version of Peacock, where the standard version they're playing commercials. Usually, it is, from what I have seen, it's just random, pointless personality profiles of people who aren't even on the show, not what they're doing. They went out of their way to make special pay-per-view, PLE specific video packages here. So instead of just a random, I don't know, Chad Gable video, we got a Seth Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura video package. And it was awesome. It was just awesome. About Nakamura knowing about Seth's weaknesses, knowing about his back. The pain creates a void inside him. He's screaming all this in Japanese. We have subtitles. His worst fears are coming true. His body has betrayed him. I'm going to destroy his back, put him out of his misery. He has no honor. He has no code. He has no future. That ruled. John Cena now comes out about 40 minutes into the show. The host, making his appearance, immediately makes himself the special guest referee for Miz versus LA Knight. Miz comes out and they go back and forth for about 10 minutes establishing nothing.
My God, this was just wasting fucking time. And the funny thing is, like, Cena comes out and announces he's the ref, okay? Mm-hmm. Then The Miz comes out, and, like, his whole deal is, I was a host once, and, when I was a host on that show, I did 2 jobs in that one night. And it's like...
Not his exact words, but yes.
Whatever. But, I mean, that's what he said. He goes...
I had 2 matches in one night.
Well, I mean...
He did, in fact, lose both.
Yeah, sure. He had 2 jobs. Yes. But anyway, the point is, like, as he's talking about all of these things that he did on the show when he was a host, that's when John Cena should have said, okay, I'll do another job tonight. I'll be the guest referee of your match. But they announced it before Miz did the speech. And so Miz does the whole speech, and then it leads to John Cena going, well, I'm the guest referee tonight, like I said. Yeah. I'm like, God damn, you fuckers are wasting time. And then... God bless them all, okay? God bless them all. But Miz versus LA Knight with John Cena as the guest referee was the most generic WWE professional wrestling match of a generation. Miz is the fucking Miz. LA Knight works basically exactly like the Miz.
Yeah.
John Cena is there as a robotic referee, and fuck, it's 3 males, all with short hair, all with relatively similar physiques, I guess. Miz is not quite as jacked as the other 2, but,
he's buffer than most fans.
It's 3 muscle men with generic short haircuts and generic trunks. And, like, this was the most generic fucking... Well, actually, first it looked like the most generic fucking WWE professional wrestling match you've ever seen. And then they wrestled, and it was the most... Like, literally, this is the match by which all future matches should be judged as being an average WWE match. Am I wrong?
I know.
It was like, this was exactly average. Like... I was watching this going, is Vince about to go to bed? And, like, they decided we got to get this thing on before he goes to sleep tonight. And then I think he went to bed a little later because I almost fucking fell out of my chair when we went from Miz versus LA Knight with John Cena as a ref to a match involving Austin Theory.
That was like, a great rib.
Oh, my God. I can't take anymore. So yeah, this match, it was like, I guess I gave it 2.5 stars, which I guess is a little better than average. Because it was a little better than average. But like, they just did a fucking WWE match. It was like WWE match, and I shouldn't even say that. That's disrespectful to other people on this show. This was, you didn't watch SmackDown, did you?
I know.
Okay, so The Miz, well, first it was on Raw. Miz did he was mocking LA Knight.
Yes.
He was making fun of him for being like The Rock and Steve Austin. But it was like The Miz's best promo in also a generation. And so then on Friday, they're doing another back and forth, which actually was really good. Their verbal back and forth is way better than their wrestling. So they're going back and forth, and Miz keeps making fun of the guy for like being straight out of the 90s. So anyway, I watched this match. This was the most generic 1990s World Wrestling Federation match I've ever seen. They did World Wrestling Federation moves. It was like such a nothing happening thing, but like they put in time and they worked hard, and
I suppose
in the end it was like fine. But I was just watching it going, wow, this is like if you went in, if you like told Chat GPT or whatever to like animate a WWF professional wrestling match. It would be LA Knight versus The Miz with John Cena the Robot as referee. That's exactly what this was.
I do want to mention one line from the promo segment. I can't even call it a promo battle between Miz and Cena. One of Miz's insults was that if you had asked me for my advice, I'd have told you not to be a mermaid in the Barbie movie. Yes, the star of Marine 2 is scolding the guy who has a speaking line in a $1.4 billion film. Okay. So, the match happened, and
then my favorite part, it's so generic. And so, at one point, Miz tries to get the pin using the ropes. And so, Chat GPT Cena says to him, "Never take the low road."
He was in full. I love
Never take the low road is what John Cena told him. I was fucking dying watching this match.
First of all, they're trying to push the idea that L.A. Knight is the ultimate underdog who never should have made it this far. Like, he's a jacked-up bodybuilder with limited athletic ability and a big mouth. He's everything you want for the past 20 years.
Yeah, but they didn't do anything with him for 20 years.
I do realize that. That's a mystery. But to say that he's... I don't know. So they're just doing stuff. They're on the floor for like an hour. Cena's not even counting. Eventually, he just gets out and just scolds them to please get in the ring. They did a bit where Miz was stomping in the corner, and Cena gave him a 5 count, and then put his hands on him to take him out of the corner. And LA attacked Miz from behind. They did the same thing later with LA Knight. Only when LA went to attack, I know backwards. But when LA went to attack Miz the second time, even though he was jumping from behind, Miz beat his ass. Way to make your babyface look like a big geek. During this match, it's a long heat segment, and I use the term heat very loosely. It's very quiet in there. And Michael Cole says, "The Miz has done a great job taking the crowd out of this match." And I said, "Ha! Ha 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 ha!" Because it was funny. I don't think he meant it as an insult, but it came off as very insulting and accurate. They traded innovative DDT variations, by which I mean stupid. And eventually... Let's see. Miz tries to go for a 5-knuckle shuffle. LA dodges it, hits his one big elbow smash, gets the blunt force trauma, and wins. And yes, I wrote it was mostly boring.
It's just generic. It's just a WWF wrestling match is what this was. And then out comes... Oh, then Cena endorsed LA.
Give him the handshake.
That'll get the... You know, the guy wasn't over before.
Yeah.
But we'll make sure he gets over now by having John Cena endorse the guy.
Now they're telling the fans,
dork.
We know you've been cheering for him, but now we want you to cheer for him. So
you know what's funny? Is this LA Knight does the Rock and Steve Austin cosplaying gimmick? It's like, do you know what Steve Austin would have done if John Cena would have tried to endorse him after one of his matches?
Stunned him.
Yes. Do you know what The Rock would have done if John Cena would have tried to endorse him after one of his matches?
Verbally buried him 8 feet beneath the earth.
Or give him the rock bottom.
Oh, yeah.
You know what LA Knight did when he was endorsed by John Cena? He smiled.
Yes.
I'm like, brother, you should have hit him with your move, dude. That would have got you over.
That would have got him hugely over, yes. And yes, we then go to Austin Theory
Oh, my God.
versus Rey Mysterio Jr.
Oh,
So I was still baffled by them saying LA Knight was the ultimate underdog. I'm like, he's just an older version of Austin Theory. The mystery is why it took so long for him to get here. The mystery is not why he's there now. But anyway, they start talking about how Austin Theory has risen to the top of the card faster than anyone since Randy Orton. Did I blink and miss the show when Austin Theory was top of the card?
I don't remember him being the top of the card.
I guess he had the money.
I mean, he had some main event matches or whatever. I remember he opened a WrestleMania.
So this is all far more entertaining than the actual match. He has got Rey in this chin lock. And he just told him, I made the speech on the NXT review about Butch and Charlie Dempsey, who were using submission holds to try to injure each other and finish the opponent, not to ground them and lay there. This was a fine example of grounding the man and lying there. And I'm thinking, well, Theory sucks, and he's just idiot-proofing this. But maybe when Rey makes his comeback, things will get better. But you know what? They did not. And there's highlights that's going around, and Rey's highlights still looked awesome. He had a big tope, a big, the springboard run and all that. All that looked great. But in between, he was huffing, and he was puffing, and this was a struggle getting through this match. And we talked about Trish. We should also point out Rey Mysterio is 48. And Father Time is undefeated. This is the first time I think I ever saw Rey and thought he is starting to look old. So there's a double down. They do like the MJF Cole double clothesline or something. They're both down on the mat, and they just stay there, and they lie there. And if that ref had not been counting, I believe they may still be lying on the mat, just catching their breath. And eventually they get up, and Rey just hits a cradle and wins. That was some very rough going.
It was all right, I guess. It was certainly nothing special, but my God, it was nothing happening. It was just a match.
Becky did a promo. This is where we saw her face was just bruised all to hell. They absolutely beat the hell out of each other in that cage match. She is interrupted by Tiffany.
Yeah, you know, it is exactly that. It's like, we don't want you to cut yourself. We're not allowed to gig. So, but you can smash your head into the fucking metal as hard as you can and get your whole face all fucking bruised up and everything like that. It's preposterous when you really think about it.
You're not wrong. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the...
Well, you got to talk about the rest of it. So Tiffany showed up.
All right.
And Tiffany made a comment, congratulated Becky. It was actually a funny line. Tiffany goes, I want to clear the air. When I said that I wanted to be the greatest NXT champion of all time, greater than everybody, including Becky Lynch, well, I forgot, Becky, that you never were the champion. So, I'm sorry for mistakenly calling you a former champion. Becky's like, this fucking... So she threatened to see her soon. And so, as we've been talking about on the show, I think she's going to be there this Tuesday on NXT. Because they're looking to beat Dynamite.
No, that would help. That would help. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Judgment Day in a street fight. Owens, the only one out there in street fight gear. In the middle of the match, tears off his Kevin Owens t-shirt to reveal a Terry Funk t-shirt. That was nice. This is really, really good. It was probably the best match in the show. It did go too long, and for a long period, it was just every WWE hardcore match you've ever seen. Let's hit each other with sticks. Let's hit each other with trash cans. Let's hit each other with chairs or stairs or brawl in the crowd or whatever. There were some awesome, awesome, awesome moments, though. And there was, if you pay attention, there was an underlying story, a thread tying everything together. It was not just random stuff. So the first awesome part is they're brawling in the fans, I guess, and they're in the Pittsburgh arena where the Pittsburgh Penguins play hockey. And Dominic runs out to interfere. That's the other part that makes it a very generic WWE match. Tons of interference. So there's 3-on-2, and they toss Owens and Zayn into the Penguins' penalty box. And when they go to retrieve them, Owens and Zayn pop up in full hockey gear with Penguin sweaters on and welding hockey sticks and beating ass. And it goes to the point where when it's time to... they've beaten Finn, they've beaten Damian, it's time to beat up Dom. They go through the trouble of dropping the gloves to beat his ass and chase him to the back. Owens is also bleeding everywhere. Also a Terry Funk tribute, although he seemed to stop bleeding halfway through the match. So they're brawling out there. The craziest thing on this show is, I think it was Dom through a table. Dom was on a table or somebody, but Owens goes up in the balcony. and it's a pretty damn high balcony. And he's very excited, and he goes to senton Dom through the table. And maybe it's because he was excited, I don't know. But the fact is, he overshoots his target. His shoulders barely graze Dom. His tailbone and legs slam into the concrete floor from very high up. He immediately grabs his groin or his knee, something, or his tailbone. It looked bad. Bad. I had nothing we're going to see him walking again. He had returned to the end of the match, but that was very, very scary. So eventually there's interference from JD McDonough. There's interference from Rhea Ripley. So it's 5-on-2 now. And it is a street fight match, so it's legal. But Kevin and Sami have no friends. The Judgment Day have no enemies. There's no way to even the odds here and take some of these guys out. But the other story here is every time it looked like the champions were going to retain, and every time Finn Balor was in desperate trouble, Damian Priest was there to make the save. It happened like 4 times. Damian was the man carrying his team. That is a theme. There's a theme in the Judgment Day that there's going to be a disruption of power down the road here. But they did all work together, all 5 of them apparently. And in the end, Sami had Finn beat with the Yakuza kick. But this time it was Dominic breaking up the pin, whacking him with Damian's briefcase, and Finn rolls on top. Finn gets the win. Judgment Day are the new tag team champions, which means 4 belts now total. And all in all, a very good match and probably the best thing on the show.
I thought this was the best thing on the show. I thought the match was awesome, actually. And I don't know if I would say it went too long, but there was, they do the deal where, oh my God, that's the finish for sure, and then it would get broken up at the last second. And I think there's like a limited number of those that you should do. And I feel like they did about 5 as they kept going. It was like the end of the Return of the King, where they did the ending like 6 times. And you're like, is this the actual ending, or are we going to do a 7th? So, the match itself, though, the spot where Kevin did that senton off the deal, but he landed mostly on his ass, that looked like it sucked. But the people went crazy. They showed multiple replays of that. And then, just one interference spot after another. And then finally, of all people, Dom was the one that broke it all up with the briefcase shot. And then Finn pinned Sami, and they won the titles. So if you watch the shows and you watch the storyline and you watch the issues between Finn Balor and Damian Priest and you watch the booking of this match, they're essentially just copying what they've been doing with the Bloodline.
Yes.
And, some people are going to be negative on that, but you should not be negative about that, because the history of wrestling is nothing but copying things over and over again.
Hey, this worked. Let's do it again.
The hottest period of WWE in the 80s was Hulk Hogan is the champion, and a giant fucking dude attacks him and beats him up, and then he has to defend his title against the giant dude, and he wins over and over and over again. And Bruno Sammartino did the same thing. We had years of Austin versus McMahon in one form or another. And the fact of the matter is, they're doing the same thing with another storyline, but they're the 2 hottest storylines in the company right now. So this is what they're going to be doing for the time being as the big soap opera storytelling type feud. It's the Bloodline leading to the eventual, the Bloodline, but it's the Judgment Day leading to the eventual breakup of the Judgment Day. Probably Damian Priest going off on his own or turning babyface or whatever. But I thought the match was awesome. I thought it was a great match, and I thought it was the best thing on the show.
At this point, we have a talk show.
This was a complete, killing time segment is what this was.
So here's what happened. I will just be full honest. I'll be fully honest, perhaps too honest. But here's what happened at this point in the show. I see Grayson Waller come out. I see his guest is going to be Cody Rhodes. I see Cody Rhodes is, as always, taking forever and ever and ever to get to the goddamn ring. I mute this. I start to watch football highlights on Twitter. I unmute the football highlight, or I finish the football highlights. I unmute the show. Cody is literally talking about how every talk show segment is exactly the same. And I said, fuck this. I got up. I left the living room. I went to the bathroom and I shaved my back. There's an important task to do. Yes, it gets itchy when you have a hairy back, and there's time for that to get done. I finished. I came out. There was a video package going on. I continued to say, fuck this. I went to the kitchen and began to do dishes. I came back when that was done. I sat down just as the next match was starting. I missed nothing. I was doing chores. I was being productive. I was getting shit done. A better use of my time than however the hell long this went.
So you even watch it?
I understand Jey Uso was on Raw now.
You're an idiot. Cody Rhodes comes out. Grayson says, I hear you got a big announcement. Cody finally says his big announcement is that Jey Uso is on Raw. And then Grayson tells him, well, you know, you've been a twin your whole life, surrounded by the bloodline. As an individual, you've achieved nothing. You won't be a big deal on Mondays. And so Jey superkicked him and laid him out. And that was the segment. But yes,
wow.
It was a lot of time filling, Vinny, but
yes.
At least I did my job.
Well,
shaved your fucking back.
It needed to be done.
God.
Better use of my time. Now, I will point out, this Grayson Waller fella knows how to use the social medias quite well. Shared a picture of himself later, icing his jaw with a crisp, refreshing can of Pepsi.
Yes.
Calling for Uso to be fired. I laughed at that hard. Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez. In hindsight, I should have watched the promo and skipped this match.
This match was fine.
This match was...
I actually thought the match... I would go as far as say it was good.
No.
I would not say it was very good, but it was good.
No, you're wrong. You're factually wrong. It was a bad match.
No, actually, I'm objectively right. You're subjectively wrong.
It was boring and dull, often sloppy.
Yeah, all right. It's a mean girl match. Rhea got a bloody nose.
Rhea did get a bloody nose.
They pounded on each other.
The highlight of the match when I guess it was Raquel's comeback. It was honestly hard to tell. But they got up and had like the wildest, sloppiest brawl. If you took two 8-year-olds and like give them, it was like a pillow fight. They were windmilling their arms like this. It was like it was a horrible, horrible fight, but at least they were doing something and people were into it. But the match basically went nowhere. It took forever to get there, and it was just pointless stuff. It was boring. It was often sloppy, and then we got more interference. So, except for the cage match had interference. The LA Knight match had a special ref. Austin Theory and Rey Mysterio was a one-on-one match with nobody else involved. Congratulations, you two. The street fight had interference from 3 people. This women's match had interference, and then the main event, I guess, was clean. So there you go. Interference and or a special ref up and down the show. So it took him 15 minutes to get there. It was a rough 15 minutes, and then there's more interference. If this is not my job, there's zero chance I'd be watching the show. And in fact, I did turn out part of it because I was so bored. Rhea eventually won with Riptide. My rating for this match was yuck.
Did you go shave your back again or something like that? Maybe shave your front? This match was a good match. Was it a great match? It was not.
I agree there.
But
it was not a great.
They worked very hard. They did some big moves. They did some, wrestling. And yes, this idiot Dom got involved. There wasn't a DQ for some reason. And then Raquel power slammed him. Rhea kicked out her bad knee. Hit the Riptide, got the pin. The finish, I'll give you this. The finish objectively sucked. They wrestled way too long for that shitty a finish. But I thought it was otherwise a good match. They're friends. They've been friends forever. So you do with your friends? You beat the shit out of them. And that's what they did during this match. They pounded the hell out of each other. And I could never, not like in a way to hurt each other, but like, right. Although there was one drop kick where Rhea drop kicked her right in the fucking face. Which, I don't know, man. I don't like hitting people in the face that hard, but it was I thought this was all right.
Main event, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins. Yes, we are already there. We're only a half hour into our show here. And the Great Muto was in the front row. They flew him all the way from Japan.
Hey, he did more than Jushin Liger did for that one AEW show.
Fair. All right, you got me there. He just sat there. He was introduced one time and then never seen again. So this match went really long. I don't know exactly how long. And it certainly was not bad, but for the first half of it, it just felt like they were out there just filling time. Let's just put in some time. Shin's working over the back, but they're not really doing much. And then in the last half, it started to really, really, really pick up. It got very, very good. Seth selling his back like crazy. He still, mind you, hitting topes and senton's and things, but he'd get up and pretend his back hurts. He tried a superplex, but his back hurt too much, so he did a Hurricane Rana instead. hits a big frog splash, hit a rainmaker. Then he stops to lecture Nakamura, because that's what every WWE main event must have now, is lecturing. How dare you make my wife worry, he says. I thought, Becky Lynch is in the building. You could have done a short backstage segment where she expressed concern about her husband's back. That's the old storytelling technique, show, don't tell. They did not show, they told. They told us that Becky was worried. So Shin hits the reverse body slam, but the Kinshasa runs into a super kick, but he hits a swank rolling armbar out of nowhere and transitions into a triangle choke, and Seth looked dead. And I mean, literally, he looked like a dead body in the ring there, but he managed to fight up and get one with a powerbomb. But the crowd was buying that as a finish. There were chants for Nakamura in there. They had an awesome strike exchange. It was not the kind of strike exchange where you just sit there and each hit the same, just, stand there and hit each other with elbows or chops over and over, but each guy was trying to throw knockout blows, and the other guy was dodging them or blocking them or countering them somehow. And it was like a fencing match or something. Very technical. And finally, Seth hits an enziguri. They're both down for a long time. And Shin hits a falling inward sit-out DVD thing off the top rope, follows the Kinshasa, goes to the corner, hit one more Kinshasa that will certainly end things, but Seth can't even stand up. And so Shin picks him up. They stomps him, slaps him for a while. And Seth fights back. He gets a pedigree. He gets a curb stomp, and they're both down. And you mentioned earlier that there were the Return of the King, where you think it's over, but it's not, and they do it so much that it feels like overkill. This is the opposite, where it in no way felt like the finish, and then it was.
I was absolutely flabbergasted at the finish.
Yeah.
Number one, because Shinsuke Nakamura has been so awesome in the build that I thought he should have won. But the other issue is, yes, I mean, this was not the opener. This was not a TV match. This was a pay-per-view match. And in this pay-per-view match, especially on a show where in that street fight we saw about 15 finishers that weren't the finish, Seth hits a single desperation curb stomp. He doesn't even immediately make the cover. And how many times, by the way, on this show did we see a guy hit a big move, but they were too slow to cover, so the guy kicked out? He's too slow to cover, but then he covers and pins him. And I was like, what in the fuck was that finish? And the match itself, it's like, I gave this 3.25 stars. It was a good match.
Yeah.
It was way too long. And the problem with it being way too long was it was way too slow. If it would have been like a super fast-paced match or something at this length, it would have been a fine main event. But it was so slow. And the story they told going in, I liked the story, which is that Nakamura knew, you've got a bad back. And granted, he did work over the guy's back, but at the same time, it's like Seth did the same match he always does. Yeah. Yet in this match, he was almost like in a wheelchair. He was so hurt. And it's like, well, why isn't he like that for every single one of his matches? Like, yeah, he got powerbombed into a table. I've seen that happen to him a million times. He got slammed on the outside. It happens in every match. Like, what was it about this match where all of a sudden his back was on the verge of snapping in two? Literally, the only thing was, we were told he has a bad back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he got the win, and then, like, they raise his hand, and you see Nakamura.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's just pacing around on the outside. He's all mad.
He's frustrated and pissed off.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, the attack is coming here.
I thought he's going to run in, watch your back, Seth. And then he didn't. And I thought, okay, well, Damian Priest's music's going to hit. And then it didn't. And then the show ended. Yeah. And I was like, what in the absolute fuck was the end of this show? It was so fucking weird. So anyway, to go full circle, the women's fucking cage match should have been the goddamn main event.
Yeah.
Had a babyface finish.
Yeah.
Had a hot match. Beat the hell out of each other. Overcome the odds. That should have closed this show. Yeah. But alas, it did not. What the fuck? Who cares?
So there you go. The cage match was good. The tag match was good. Otherwise, there was not very much premium about this premium live event.
Nah, you're all right skipping most of the show, everybody. But watch those two matches. The Trish and Becky cage match and the tag team title match. Especially because That was the main event. That was a tag team title match main event of WrestleMania. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn beating the Usos. This was the end of their reign. They lost the tag team titles here tonight. So that's historic, I guess. But anyway, I got to go watch Collision. Then I'll be back with Dave later on.